What happens 24 hours after white chocolate ganache has been made and left to set? Hello and welcome to my cake kitchen. I am Gladys and we are continuing the series on how to make simple white chocolate ganache perfect for covering your cakes. In a previous video, we covered every detail you need to understand about making white chocolate ganache, and after showing you how to make the ganache, we left it to set. And this video is a continuation of what happens once the ganache has been left to set for 24 hours and then brought back to be prepped and used for covering cakes. In this tutorial, you will learn how to optimize and reformulate your ganache for the right consistency for covering your cake, as well as the different forms of ganache after it has been reformulated and used to cover the cake. You will learn how to cover a cake with unwhipped ganache and also whipped ganache. And ultimately, you will understand how to make and use ganache for best results in the cake decorating process. So whilst this video is packed with more information for you, do check out the live session for packed and valuable information. Let's jump right into the video. So we made the ganache yesterday, and if you don't know, the ganache video is up already on the live format from yesterday. I talked you through this particular ganache, and I did make specifically clear that there are so many ways of deriving ganache and there are different forms of ganache for different things. But this specifically, just so that we stay on the subject, is simple white chocolate ganache for covering cakes. And I made this specifically using white chocolate, some corn syrup, and some double cream. 3 ingredients, maybe 4 if you're counting a pinch of salt, and this is what we have over here. So when you follow the exact processes that I showed you in the last video, you should come to this point where your ganache looks like this. But most importantly, we are going to look at the consistency. The consistency here is, it's almost like it's not hard, but there is tension when I'm stirring through it, right? It looks like chilled peanut butter. When the ganache is looking like this, you are not going to be able to use it to do anything. You can't cover a cake with it. It will give you problems. So from here on, there are a few steps we have to take and a few things we have to do before we cover a cake with it. With the ganache looking like this, the first thing you want to do, obviously I'm using the microwave. It is the most convenient way of yielding my ganache. We are going to have to bring this to a spreadable peanut butter consistency. But it is really important that you understand what you're looking for. Because at this point, if we put it back in the microwave and we go past the heating point, the ganache breaks and we're back to square one. And it's no use. So the sensitivities around the consistency of ganache and the yield and how you use it starts from here. Now I'm going to put that in the microwave and we'll probably count to 10 and we'll see where we'll take it from there. Okay, let's have a look. You don't want to risk it. Seriously, you don't want to risk it. Okay, not much has changed, right? There's still tension, but it is easing a little bit, right? So we are going to do another 10 seconds. Okay, it's back. And at 20 seconds, this is the consistency I am aiming for. Exactly. My point is, what you are looking for is a sort of easy, spreadable peanut butter consistency. If you can't see what I am showing you simply because of the lights and its effect, what you are looking for is to be able to run your spatula through this easily without tension. At this point, your ganache is completely okay to use for covering a cake. This is unwhipped because there's a difference between the whipped ganache and unwhipped ganache. And whilst we're at it, at any point after you've got your consistency right, if you leave the ganache for any longer, for a reasonable amount of time, it will go back to setting again. And here's the tip: every time it happens, do exactly the same thing we did, except keep an eye on the time, because when you stir it too much and it sets, sometimes it sets harder. So you're probably going to adjust the time. But when you do go back to putting it back in the microwave to get it back to a consistency, a spreadable or usable consistency, just make sure that you are keeping an eye on the time. That's just something to know. I'm going to cover a cake in the unwhipped form just to give you the full experience of what it looks like. Most importantly, before you even consider covering the cake or doing any of what we've done here, make sure you are organized. Make sure the cake is sorted first of all. Make sure you get all your tools. When you're working with ganache, it's important that your tools, if they are stainless steel, are all sitting in warm water, because ganache will scrape easily if you're using the right tools in the right way. So I have a glass bowl here, and everything I'm going to be using in terms of the ganache, I have a long tub here that has a glass sitting in it. I am boiling some water here, which will go in the glass bowl to keep my stainless steel tools here for scraping warm and easy to clean on the ganache, whilst the tall tub here will contain my spatula and offset stuff that I'll be using to cover the ganache with. So let's go get the cake here quickly and then see how we go. We have a very small 5-inch cake here. It's 4 layers. It stands at 6 or 7 inches high. It's not that big a deal. I'm just going to use the ganache to cover it in its unwhipped form, just to give you some idea about what ganache looks like. Naturally, the cake has been filled and trimmed completely. And again, just so that we are sure, the consistency of the ganache remains just the same. Spreadable peanut butter consistency. And my cake here is chilled, and the handy warm metal tool means I can spread the ganache easily around the cake. We are crumb coating. If you use the right tools the right way, you should be able to get some great results with that. So for the crumb coating, I've just dished a bit of the ganache on the side, and all I'm doing is spreading it around the cake. It's not your regular crumb coat where I am applying a completely thin layer. I am crumb coating to seal in the crumbs, but I am adding more than I really need here. Now look out for the consistency of ganache, which is what I am using here. There's a bit of water on here. You can wipe your tool clean if you like. At this point, you know, the covering of a cake is all about one's own skill and technique. Now you can see holes and air pockets, and it doesn't look right even at all, even at a crumb coat stage. I'm going to leave it in the fridge again whilst we clean up this. Our crumb coated ganache cake is back, and on touch you shouldn't feel anything. What I am going to do is I'm going to clean the top, and I am going to fill the parts that were left, okay, with a warm blade. We're scraping, and that's it. So that's generally the crumb coats done. I'm going to fill. So here's what we have with the ganache crumb coat all done. It's sticky to the touch because of obviously the warm blade that is used around it. So again, like most cakes, you want to leave this completely to set before you do the next coat. So for the crumb coat, we've done that now. So I'm going to whip this real quick. And the whipping is not much. You can use a hand mixer, but I have used a stand mixer for the entire time. I actually don't use a hand mixer because I can't control the speed. So I'm going to use my K-Mix. Again, the timing is in seconds. You're talking 40 seconds to a minute maximum, no more than that, depending on quantity. But just so that I can get my best result, I work with my ganache in small, manageable quantities. That is 35 seconds at high speed. That's all I need. Again, it's come back to very spreadable consistency. It's a lot lighter. It's easier to spread. Don't be tempted to do any more than that at all, because that will yield you some devastating results. Now that we've whipped the ganache, again, Same process. If you leave the ganache and it's a set and you don't know what to do, again, put it in the microwave. But be mindful that now that you've whipped it, it's more easily broken. So you probably need to tune down the timing a little more than what we initially worked with. But if you were a beginner and you were able to cover a cake till this part, that's brilliant. Now, because we've whipped the ganache up, it is likely to show up with air bubbles. But now, again, don't panic. Scrape. The difference here is that because it is whipped, sometimes you can see slight texture on it. If you see texture on it, it's not a good or a bad thing. It all depends on your goals and objectives. So I'm going to go back in, if you must, and again, go round it. That's, yeah. Can you see perfection here? No, because that's not what I am aiming for. What I am aiming for is demonstrate the use of ganache for covering cakes in its basic form. So you've seen how the whipped ganache goes from being made to leaving it on a countertop for 24 hours, coming back, bringing it to the right consistency, crumb coating the cake, whipping the ganache, and then finishing it all off. So what I'm going to do is wipe my sides, get the cake clean, put it in the fridge, come back, clear the top, and then that will be our cake done, essentially.